If I go back a couple years and have a 10-minute talk with my 20-year-old self, it's a couple things I would have told myself that would have made my life a lot easier when it really comes to time and money. Time and money are probably one of the two most important things in life in general, and especially if you're an entrepreneur or even if you're just a go-getter trying to make it to the next level, your time and your money have very, very crucial impact over the outcomes in your life. One of the first things I would really tell myself is this: time over money for real. Time is way more valuable and way more important than money. And I know we hear that, we hear it in songs, we hear it on these little motivational podcasts, but I don't think y'all really understand the impact of that statement. When you trade your time for your money, you're devaluing your time. You're saying, okay, for example, right? And I'm not knocking on nobody with a job. I had a job, so if you have a job, by all means, that's cool. But I want to put it in perspective. Let's just say $20 an hour. To a lot of people, that's a good paying job. Even when I worked, I was getting paid like $20 an hour. That was a pretty good paying job. You get what I'm saying? But let me put it into perspective for you like this. If I told you got to sit right here next to me and you got to sit down, you got to write on this piece of paper and write the same thing over and over again, and you got to do it for 8 hours in a day, and every hour I'm going to come up to you and I'm going to hand you a dub. I'm going to be like, here you go. Every 60 minutes I'm going to come up to you and here go a $20 bill. It adds up, right? So I'm not knocking it. However you get your grind, it adds up. That's how some people make money. But you have to understand that the time that you're sitting there for 60 minutes, all that's worth is that $20. You know what I'm saying? Every 60 minutes, $20, $20, $20. And what people don't understand is oftentimes when you're working, or if you're working very hard on your business, because that's the same thing, like a lot of people in their business, they become an entrepreneur and they go from working 40 hours to 86 hours in a week. You get what I'm saying? When you're doing that, you're trading too much time for money. The outcome that you're getting is the money, and the input that you're putting in is the time. And what you don't realize is when you have your time to yourself and you have the majority of your free time, that is when you are the most powerful version of yourself. And now I'm 24, I own 3 successful businesses, you know what I'm saying? So I'm very, very blessed to be able to say those sentences. But realistically, knowing all these things, it shouldn't have took me till 24 to do that. I didn't really start taking my life seriously and locking in and making the money for real till I was about like really 22, 23. So really I'm fresh in the game, but I had a very, very big amount of success in the small period of time that I've done this, all because of these different things that I implemented. Before I started making money, even and when I first started making money, I was wasting my money on a lot of liabilities, like we all do, right? It's kind of that syndrome when you come from nothing and you never had anything in your life and you was never able to buy the Jordans that you wanted every weekend when you was a kid, and you was never able to, do all the things that you did. Once you start working a job and start touching some good money, or start up that business and it really starts paying you for it, you go bonkers, you go outrageous, because you never had it before. It's a sense of fulfillment. And I was doing that same thing, really coming from nothing to where your whole life you got to kind of do for yourself, and you have to provide for yourself when you want greater things or luxury things, or, you know what I'm saying? Because anything that you don't need is a luxury. You get what I'm saying? So when you come from that, it's very easy to waste your money on liabilities and things that you think serve you, things that you think make you feel better. Or I used to tell myself all the time, oh yeah, when I bought all this dumb shit y'all see me wearing now, you know what I'm saying? Obviously this stuff is tokens for success, but really it's dumb shit when you think about it, right? When you're buying jewelry and stuff like that, I haven't bought a piece of jewelry in over a year. And the whole reason for that is because it's a waste of money. Now I would rather, instead of spending thousands of dollars on a kid, I'd rather put that thousands of dollars in the ad spend. I'd rather put that thousands of dollars into my knowledge and learn better how I could better my business and more products I could sell. I'd rather put that thousands of dollars into systems and operations and making my business run more efficiently and spend less time in my business as opposed to working in it. You get what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with a job. Like if I just made the analogy of how time and money works when it comes to working a job, how if every hour they're paying you $20 or even $30, $40, $50, $60, $100. $100 an hour is good money. Even if they're paying you that much, you're wasting it like that. If you make $20 an hour, right, that would mean in a day you make about $160. So in about 10 days of working time, you done ran up about, $1,600, quick math, something like that. And you go to Balenciaga and you go buy the new Balenciaga boots. You just wasted 10 days of work, 10 days of 8-hour shifts. So 80 hours you just spent on some Balenciaga boots to make you feel good. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not saying don't reward yourself by all means. When you hit certain achievements, buy yourself that dream car or that dream crib or that pair of shoes you really been wanting. But a lot of people do it too early on. A lot of people don't have delayed gratification. They need it instantly. They need to feel it. It's like, oh damn, I achieved this amount of money, let me go buy that. And I used to have that bad, and I'm telling y'all, that's gonna mess you up so bad in life. Like, it doesn't matter how much money you making. If you can't reinvest it and you can't stack it, you won't make it to the millions. And when you do make it to the millions, if you do make it to the millions with them habits, you're gonna fall off. You're gonna blow it because you're not reinvesting. You're not having positive ROI on the things that pay you. I do agree. Sometimes, yes, having certain luxuries and nice material things, they do make you feel better. But I'm telling you right now, that ROI is not more valuable than an ROI into your business. Once you have everything flowing into your business or your life or whatever it is, once your life is aligned, you're using your time the most efficiently and you're making the most amount of money, because we know money equals freedom. So the more money we have, the more access to freedom we have. Freedom of time, freedom of task. It got to a point where I got tired of wasting money on liabilities. I got tired of me spending thousands of dollars on bullshit when my company is literally falling apart, when my time is literally consumed by doing so much bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got tired of doing that when I'm sitting here busting my ass trying to market, trying to get new traffic into my business, when I could just put the same money that I was wasting into some ads, and now I'm getting the traffic in my sleep. You get what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't until I started thinking more efficiently like that my life started changing. It wasn't until I started putting money into my systems and putting systems in place to where I don't have to manually onboard clients and manually take payments and do all that shit anymore, and it's just done. It's taken care of. I have a customer support team that takes care of my company, and I have, people that work for me that do a lot of tedious tasks, so I can spend more time in my day doing the things that really matter. And what matters is figuring out how to get better, figuring out how I can make more money, figuring out how I could push more traffic into my business, as opposed to working my business like it's a job. By all means, everything takes time, right? I never just launched my business and I was ready to do all of that type of stuff and put that money there. But if you're already spending that money on things that aren't bringing you an ROI, it's really good to sit down and have that talk with yourself and be like, damn, could I put my money here, and would this be a better place? Could I put my money in my knowledge, y'all? You got to understand, the first time I ever invested in myself was a mentorship. My first mentorship I ever took, it was for credit repair, how to start up and run a credit repair business. And it was about $5,000, you get what I'm saying? And with that money, like, at that time, I was already wasting that. I was going to the club every weekend and popping bottles and getting sections and just being dumb. I was probably like, you know what I'm saying, just barely 22 at this time, you know what I'm saying? Like, being dumb, spending money, blowing money, and I was making money. I was doing car rentals at the time, so I was making good money, but I'm sitting here blowing that same amount of money damn near every weekend when it comes to, going to the club, going to steakhouses, buying designer clothes. I'm over here buying Balenciagas and Bottega shoes every time they coming out, and I'm sitting here hesitant on spending $5,000 on learning how to make money. It doesn't make sense. I'll sit here and go to the store and cash out $1,200, $1,000 on a pair of shoes, but I'm not willing to put that times 5 into my knowledge that can make me that money times 20. A lot of people don't understand that's what taking the risk means. It means putting that money there instead of in the luxury. Putting the money into the knowledge instead of into the clothes. Putting the money into the systems instead of putting it in the club. You get what I'm saying? Putting the money on ads and marketing instead of, like, making your life a lot more efficient. And it wasn't until I did that my life really changed. And I just need y'all to understand the value of time and money, and stop putting in so much time when you could be reinvesting your money. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of y'all might tell me, oh, I don't really got money like that. I barely have money to spend. Look at your spending habits, though. If that's really, really you and you don't got no money left after all your real necessary responsibilities, then okay, you best find a different way to get some streaming income. There's all types of ways you can make money out here. People make money in their sleep. They have fully running businesses and fully running pages. People making little clip pages. I don't know if y'all see that when they clip up all these famous people stuff. They literally got little clip pages going on where they're making money off of the views that they're not even doing no work. They're using AI and shit to leverage and make these videos and make these pages. So figure out what works for you. If that's really you, figure out a way to make more money. And if that's not you, figure out where you could cut the spending at. You might have to stop drinking so much. That's just part of it. You might have to stop eating out so much. That's just part of it. You might have to miss out on a couple drops, a couple pair of shoes or clothes that you want. It's just that. You get what I'm saying? Figure out what makes sense to you. Is the instant gratification of you fulfilling yourself and getting this material item or having this little experience, is that more worth it to you, or is staying down, locking in for the long term more worth it? Because if you saying you want to be better and you saying you want to be successful and all of these type of things, then why is staying down and locking in not the priority? Why is fulfilling your wants and your desires and things that you don't need, why is that a priority, right? So reprioritize your life and restructure your life and figure out where's your best investment of time and where's your best investment of money. And I promise you, if you lock in on that for even 3 months, some people say it take a good year, some people say it take a good 6 months. I turned my business up in 3 months, and it was really just all off of implementing the things I'm telling you right now. So, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm always tailor towards that side. But even if you just a go-getter, you just a hustler, just know that there's always more that you can do. You get what I'm saying? If you working the job and all that money that you're putting is going towards the club and this and that, and you saying you want to be great, you saying, oh, one day I want to own a business or whatever it is that your goal is, reinvest your time and your money into that. Don't reinvest your free time sleeping or playing the game. You know what I'm saying? Just doing bullshit, going out to the club. Like, you could be better investing that time. And it sounds so cliche. It's like, well, duh, right? But we all know it, yet we don't do it. You get what I'm saying? The next thing is the right people will save you the right mistakes. And I have a video posted. You can go ahead and look at that, where I'm talking about like your environment and how your environment controls your outcome. But even before I had an environment, when I first moved to Houston, I didn't really know nobody for real as far as like having network. For almost like the first couple months I lived here, I worked a remote job. I was in a crib. I wasn't from here. I didn't have no friends here. So I had to really like go out and network and put myself out there to get to know people. And before that, like, just knowing the right people can change your life. Once I met the right people, that's changed my life. They put me around new mindsets, new resources, new opportunities. But even prior to that, right, knowing of the right people, that's another thing. Because some of y'all are like, oh, well, I live in a small town, or nobody really here is doing better. Knowing of the right people, following people on social media, on Instagram and on TikTok and on YouTube, subscribing to people on YouTube who are making videos like this, to where they're putting out game, they're giving you motivation, they're showing you a better way of life, a better quality of life, and showing you exactly how you can get there. That is very, very crucial, because those people will save you so much time and mistakes. It wasn't until I started running with winners and started getting around people who had certain types of mindsets to where I started implementing that in my life, And it wasn't until I got to jump over so many hurdles. When you're around people who are already in the place that you want to be, or they're on that journey and they're further than you, they could tell you, hey, don't do this, don't do this, do this, do that. And now you just saved yourself months of time wasted. Now you just saved yourself thousands of dollars wasted, because they've already been there before. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of y'all spend too much time consuming information and consuming opinions of people who aren't in the place you want to go, and you wouldn't trade places with them. If you wouldn't trade lives with this person, why are you taking advice from them? Especially in that field. Not everybody's going to be a field expert at everything, but for example, right? If you got a friend that they always broke, they can't keep a dollar for nothing. When it comes to investments and spending money and all of that, would you ask them for advice, and would you listen to that advice and take that advice? Nah. So why are you letting it go? Why are you letting that reflect on the rest of the things in your life? Important. The same thing applies to your business. Like when it comes to business and stuff like that, you can't always ask your parents. If your parents don't got an entrepreneur mindset, you can't always go to them and be like, what should I do for this business? Because they still living in the old ages. They're going to be looking like, why would you even start a business? That's not stable. You know what I'm saying? X, Y, and Z. So just knowing the right people, or knowing of the right people, knowing people you could watch who are in that position, or knowing people that subscribe to, that give out that type of game, that is very crucial to your growth in life. And I feel like it's really hard to figure out sometimes, well, how do I know if I'm wasting time on something? A lot of people, they waste time on going down the wrong path, which you could look at it two ways, right? You could look at it as, oh, you're just wasting time doing this, or you could look at it as trial and error. But some people would genuinely have it put in their face that this is not their purpose in life, this is not the path that they should be walking, yet they waste time and money on going this direction. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes you're not going to always know. Sometimes you do got to just take a risk and see how everything pans out and see if this is meant for you or not. But have a good calculated guess when it comes to stuff, and really think about it. Like, when it comes to even relationships, a lot of people waste time and money in relationships. A lot of people will prioritize a relationship so much, a romantic relationship, whole time they're not locked in on themselves. You get what I'm saying? But that relationship could be an asset or a liability. You know what I'm saying? That could be time wasted, money wasted, experience wasted, limiting yourself. Or if you're going to be in that relationship, you could be in a relationship with a person that is really helping you grow, helping you get to the next level, and motivating you and pushing you, and you actually look at the relationship from another person's point of view, not just your own, where you bias and you're like, oh, I love this person so much. Take a step out your body and look at your relationship, and look at you as if you were your friend, and look at your significant other as if, that was their significant other. Like, does this make sense? Will it work out? And that's how you could kind of take an educated guess and figure out if you wasting time with that. But we're not smart either. We're not perfect. And what we have to understand is we might not always know if we're wasting time on a business plan or a job or a relationship or a life decision. But what I can tell you is, once you connect with God and you really understand how to hear his voice and how to listen to his voice, he's going to tell you when you're praying for clarity and discernment and guidance. He's going to give that to you one way or another. So just really staying locked in with that is key. That's how you waste the least amount of time, because when God is present in your life and you can hear his voice and understand his voice and you listen to it, most importantly, that's when your life really changes for real. And I'm a walking testimony of that. What I could really tell myself if I could go back in time is use your credit. Like, for real, build your credit, leverage your credit, use your credit. Like, when we come from certain environments, especially me, right? I come from a place where nobody uses credit cards because it's their worst enemy, because they doing shit like pulling out same day payday loans and stuff like that, destroying their credit, putting themselves in crippling debt. And like, I used to be so scared of credit because I would see it mess up so many people around me, but they're not using it the right way. Like, you at the store, buying groceries, swiping it on your credit card, and going to the club, swiping it on that, and going out to eat, swiping it on that. And the whole time, you're not even looking at the price because you just swiping. You're not even thinking, my paycheck next week can't even barely cover this credit card payment. You get what I'm saying? People don't be thinking like that. So that's why they put that in our head, and it gets passed down through generational curses. And I feel like my first few years of being a young adult, 18, 19, 20, I had a little credit card and stuff because I was already put on game, from watching the right people. You get what I'm saying? And I did start to figure out, okay, I should have a credit card, but I wish I even took more steps on building my credit. Got an authorized user account from, one of my family members, or got on a little credit builder program, because the more money that the banks can trust you with, the more that they'll let you leverage. And especially if you're an entrepreneur and you think you're going to open up a business, you're going to need that bank's money. Like, it's not going to all just come off the muscle and hustling and get money to invest back into your business. You got to think about it. When you hustling, when you running a business, the money that you make from your clients, you got to pay taxes. That's 15%. You got to cover overhead. For some people, that's hella high. If you don't know what overhead is, it's the monthly cost that you have on your business. So if you rent out of space, that's your overhead. If you buy supplies, that's your overhead. You get what I'm saying? Like, so you have to put money to taxes. You have to put money to overhead. You have to put money on reinvesting back into the business. And then you have to still pay yourself. And you still have to make profit on paper for your business to be profitable. Because if you're just paying overhead, taxes, and stuff like that, and investing into your business, those are all tax write-offs. At the end of the year, it look like you ain't make no money. You know what I'm saying? So you still got to have profit in there that you actually do pay taxes on. So it's like, if you're trying to do all of that with the money you're bringing in off of clients, you're crazy. You're crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying impossible, but it's working backwards for real. Like, you're spending more time trying to get those clients, and now you're using that money and you're spending that money trying to get more money. And it doesn't make sense when you can leverage money from the bank. So I always tell people that, like, regardless of who you go to for funding, I'm just saying that building up your credit and leveraging it for whatever, even if it's that house that you want, even if it's the car that you want, like, once you've proven to the banks that you can be trusted with this, they will give you whatever it is you want. And if you're thinking about time and money and investment, you have to understand, having money given to you to invest is crazy. Like, if you're doing everything else I said in life, where everything's aligning, you get a solid business plan, you get solid, proper guidance, you get the right people around you, you get in the right mindset, you start practicing the right routines, and then you get money from the bank to put into everything that you've been practicing, you're unstoppable. You in your 20s, or even if you're in your 30s, 40s, you're on your own timeline. Like, everybody tries to push this age thing, and you just have to understand that once you decide to take your life serious, whether it's earlier, whether it's later, that's when everything's going to change for you. So it's never too late to make that change. The change just has to be made, man. So y'all stay blessed.